Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Wonderland Asylum. Today we have issue 1 of the Hachette partworks release of Build the Titanic. Before we get started, just a quick overview of what you get with stage 1. So, you see, you get this rather nice leaflet that pulls out into the picture of the Titanic and explains some of the main features of the model. And that pulls out even further into an even bigger picture of Titanic and a better explanation of some of the features of the ship. So as I say, it features lights, sound I believe, and also the front 3 funnels will have smoke producing from them. In fact, you actually get your first smoke generator with stage 2, which is a bit strange, but that's how partworks tend to work. The first few issues are always a bit kind of all over the place, and then it sort of settles down. Now you also have the magazine itself, which has a couple of leaflets in it. Now that is something I would highly recommend. Obviously I'm getting that anyway, but it's an exclusive offer where if you increase, I think it's by £1 a month, the price of your deliveries, you'll get a display case to keep it in. Now it's going to be very, very detailed, so there is obviously the opportunity for things to get damaged. Now as you can see behind me, I have a similar 1/200 scale model of Battleship Bismarck. I'm not getting a case with that. I'm going to have to invest in my own, and yeah, the detail level means that it's definitely worth getting a protective case. Okay, so you also get your little slip to take to the newsagent. Obviously mine are getting delivered direct from Hachette Partworks. And then you have, as I say, the magazine. It's got these little hooks on the end here, so it will hook into the binders that they supply a lot better than other ones you've seen. There are obviously some articles about Titanic itself, about the voyage. I won't waste your time by reading them all out to you, but it's certainly worth a read. And that's something I didn't get with Bismarck. I didn't get the magazines because I got Bismarck through Agora Models. Now, then there are the instructions themselves for how to build what we're about to be building. Speaking of which, these are the parts. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and build it all. Now I did get Hachette to send me a second copy of issue 1 because there are a few bits that aren't all that accurate. Now I'm a bit of a Titanic nerd. Really, I find everything to do with the ship so interesting. Not just as I say the tragic sinking, but everything else, the way it was built, the way it was pointed, just it's a stunning ship at the end of the day. But yeah, these are the parts. Accuracy level, it's a bit hit and miss. Detail's certainly there, but the colours and that and some of the parts are a bit off. But what I'll do is I'll build it as they intended, and then at the end I will show you what I did with the second one. Now that's still not complete, but I'll show you the wee changes I've made anyway. If you want to get this for yourself, if you are in the UK and I think France, you can order it through the Hachette Partworks website, which I will put in the description. If you are in the United States, you can get it direct from Agora Models, who are publishing it in the United States on behalf of Hachette Partworks. Now, if you're into your maritime models, or even World War II models, Agora Models also have the Bismarck on their website, which is distributed worldwide. There are some countries which have restrictions because, you know, they like to forget history, but most countries you can get Bismarck. There's a plethora of other models you can get on Agora Models as well. I think Hachette, the only new one they have is Titanic. It's the only one you can actually start from the beginning, I believe. There will be obviously other releases up and coming. But without further babbling, let's build what we have to build today. So here we have the parts. As I say, the deck is made of ABS plastic, or sorry, the mounting plate for the deck. I don't know what you would call it, but yep. And the actual deck piece itself is actual small planks of wood which are attached to a sticky back sheet almost, and that obviously sticks over the top there like that. I wish they'd done that with Bismarck. They didn't. Bismarck's deck is plastic. This adds a far better effect. It is the wrong colour. Titanic's deck was lighter, but I'm not going to go to all the effort of painting the deck. It looks pretty good. So, yep. As I say, I will build through it all, and then once I'm done, I will point out the inaccuracies. So, don't worry, I've not forgotten them, and I have certainly noticed them. But yeah, that's all the parts there. So, I'll move them to one side, because the first thing it wants me to do is, as I say, take the deck piece, make sure this lines up, and it does. Lines up rather nicely, as you can see there. And then what we're doing is starting to peel off the paper there. Now I'm only doing it till about halfway, so I can make sure it is all lined up. So, you see, if you line up the front section, because obviously the holes are drilled into the wood as well as the ABS deck piece, and just peel that away, making sure all the holes line up, just like that, and then press it down into position. And here we come across the first thing that I did on my other model, which is I actually used PVA glue to stick this down, because I don't know if you can see, but particularly at the front there, it's starting to peel up already. Now, as I say, I'm going to do this as the manufacturer intended, and then I'm going to show you the difference. But that is what the deck section is looking like. So now we move on to the slightly fiddlier bits. Okay, so as I say, we have the deck piece. The next pieces it wants us to get are the 3 winches. It also wants us to get 2 vent pieces, which look like this, and one of the anchors which sits to the rear of the bow. Okay, and we're just going to be fitting these into the appropriate slots. You can see there how much that deck is not wanting to stick. Now we'll see once the pieces are all put in if it works any better, and I will feed back. But we'll do the winches first, and the first one goes into these holes here. Now, unlike Bismarck, where everything glues in, this is all push fit. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but yeah, there we go. So those are the 2 rear winches, and then there's one that faces the opposite direction. It's impossible to put them in the wrong way, because you can see the 2 pins on the bottom there are different sizes. So it goes in to those 2 holes there, just like that, leaving these holes free. And speaking of these 2 holes there, we're going to be putting the vent sections in there. The first one that looks almost like a Monopoly house goes in with the slant going from bow to stern, so to speak, like that. Again, push to fit, it goes into that hole. And then the other vent, which looks more like a vent, but there's no black bit, no fouling on it, it's just a white blob. It goes into this one here. Now make sure they're sitting straight. They're not glued in. Again, I'm doing it the way they're telling me to do it in the magazine for your benefit. As I say, I've already done it previously, and I have glued the pieces in, because I don't want them coming back out again. The next bit is another, I think it's a skylight for the hold, which was underneath the forecastle deck, and it goes in to these 2 holes here. Now again, the pegs are different sizes, so just make sure you line the right peg with the right hole, or you'll break the pegs off. So it goes in there just like that. You can see that's how that's looking just now. Okay, so the next piece we need to put in is the anchor, and it goes into these 2 holes here, and it lines up. The pins are the same size, but it lines up with the head of the anchor towards the rear, and the top of the anchor towards the bow, and it just slots in there just like that. Okay, so the next thing it wants is the 6 bollard pieces, which are all stuck together, and they look just like that, and they're going in 3 on each side. Again, there's a large pin and a small pin, as you can see there, and they just push to fit. Again, these are a bit more snug, but they do fit in quite nicely. Now just be careful that you're putting them in the right holes, just match it up with the picture. Again, the next one goes into these 2 holes here. Large peg, large hole, small peg, small hole. If the pegs do break off, it's not an absolute disaster, because you will be able to just glue it in, but they've obviously set them as a push to fit. There must be a reason for it. I can't think what it is, but I'm sure there must be one. And as I say, I'm just putting the rest of these in. It's a mirror image. One of the good things about ship models is they tend to be fairly symmetrical. And again, last one goes in here, just like this. See, so that's how the deck is looking at this moment in time. Now the next 2 bits we need are the breakwaters, the front breakwaters. Now these bits, the pins are very fragile and they don't fit all that well. So they're going in, they can only go on one side. This one, on what's going to be the port, is going into these 3 holes going down here. So as you can see, one side has the ridges on the back of the breakwater, the other side is completely flat. The flat side goes towards the bow. And just, as I say, line up the holes with the pegs and push it down, making sure you only put downward force, no sideways force, or you will just snap those pins off. And it goes in like that. And the same on the other side. You can see there the pins are slightly differently aligned. These 2 pins are far closer together than they are on the other side, to make sure you don't put them in the wrong way. Again, designed to make it slightly easier for those who maybe don't build as many models. This one doesn't fit as well either. Okay. So push it down. Let's say this side everyone seems to have had more problems with from the reviews I've seen, but that's in the way they want it to go. And the next one is another vent. It looks like if anyone's seen Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, it looks like the little speaker that the enemy spies hid under in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. It goes into this hole here, and the vent part of it, which again isn't painted black, points sternward. Okay, and that's us done for that part. The next part is the forward hatch. We will talk more about the forward hatch lately, but that's what you get. Later, but that's what you get. And it fits into these 2 big holes here. And again, just a push fit, not a very tight push fit. It doesn't fall out, but also doesn't fit very tightly. But hey ho. And the final details to go in is we have 4 bollards, which for some reason are white. Again, I'll go into that momentarily. And 4 of these, which are basically little, I can't remember what you would call them. The word escapes me, but you basically turn them to vent steam. Yep. So the bollards are going into these 4 holes here, and again just push fit for the bollards, and you can hear them click in quite satisfyingly. There you go, bollards are into place. Valves, they're steam valves, and they go in, 4 of them. They do supply you with 5 in case you break one, which is highly likely because they're pretty fragile, and again they're push fit, so it's a tight fit when you're pushing them down, but they just go in front of the forward hatch. which is not wanting to stay in. As I say, it's not an overly tight fit, the forward hatch. I think it's one of the few parts that they do tell you to glue in. I haven't glued it in because, as I say, this isn't the one I'm going to be using for my actual model. This is one I got to show you the way they want you to build it and then show you what I've done with mine. But that's what it looks like with the 4 steam valves in. And that is what your completed part looks like for issue 1. As I say, it's fairly well detailed. It's fairly simple to put together. As I said, comparing this to Battleship Bismarck, I think it's been aimed at a more beginner to intermediate level of modeler, whereas the Bismarck was aimed sort of more at a more experienced builder. I think possibly because the Titanic will have more universal appeal than likes of the Bismarck. But that is the way Hachette Partworks have sent it. So we'll talk about the inaccuracies now. Now, those steam valves should not be white. The bollards there should not be white. The breakwaters there should be white. Now, I'm not going into like the vents don't have any blacked out sections or anything. That's fine. You can weather that up yourself. The forward hatch, that's the main kicker for me. Now, again, they've made it all white. That's fine. But there should be 2 hatches and 4 portholes on the top of that, and it doesn't have any of them. So there are people who are out there doing mods to fix it. I may well do the same myself. But for now, in true Blue Peter style, here's one I made earlier. Now you can see what I've done there is I've painted the sides of the hatch the same bolt gun colour as the bollards that are on the side. Now the main bollards I've also painted bolt gun, but I've put a kind of bronze top on it. Now the valves, from a survivor account from the Titanic, they recounted seeing the crew turning the red steam valves on the forecastle deck to raise the anchor one final time. And also there was another modeller who, I think they said a family member had written in their diary about travelling on the Olympic, and she had also mentioned, while sitting watching, the sailors work on the red steam valves. So I've done them red. I know some people have done them different colours. And I've obviously done the breakwater white, the way it's supposed to be. I've also blacked out the vents at the back. Now, putting them side to side... Oh, and the other thing I did, as I said, was I put PVA glue underneath the deck and I clamped it down. Now, again, 5 minutes work, and you can see the difference in the two. At least I hope you can. But yeah, if you just build it stock, the way Hachette send it, you will end up with a perfectly good model. It'll just be slightly inaccurate, and as I said, I'm a Titanic nerd, so I want it to be like that. But yeah, that's issue 1 of the Titanic all done. Issue 2 should be with me just shortly. And as I say, what I'll do is I'll show you the paints that I've used to get the effect that I'm using. The gold colour is this. It is Citadel Retributor Armour. I have used game colour, blood red, for the steam valves, and the bolt gun colour that I used was also a game colour paint, which is just gunmetal. So yeah, as I say, 5 minutes with a paintbrush. Oh, and I think it's bone white, or is that the old one? Dead white is the white I used as well, which is just slightly off white, and it gives a better, more realistic finish. So yeah, as you can see, do whichever way you like, but as I say, 5 minutes with a paintbrush and the difference it makes. As I say, in terms of the front hatch, I may be tempted to try and make up my own 2 little hatches and drill out 4 portholes myself, just to make it look, just to make it more accurate, because it does upset me a little bit that the forward hatch is so bare and so inaccurate, but it is what it is. As I say, this is, I think, if you're wanting a more accurate model, Trumpeter do a 1 to 200 scale, the exact same size in essence, but it's a plastic kit and you would need to paint it all yourself. The advantage to this one is it has a metal hull, the hull all screws together and it's all pre-painted for you. Plus you've got all the, as I say, the funnels that smoke, you've got the deck that all lights up and everything, the propellers turn, and there's a cutaway section where you can see the engine turning and everything. So again, it all depends what you want from your model. I'm perfectly prepared to spend a little bit of time with a paintbrush to get the effect I want. But again, thank you very much. And that is us for stage 1 of Build the Titanic by Hachette Partworks. I hope you've enjoyed that. I certainly enjoyed building it. And as I say, I'll show you one final time, just so you can get an aspect of the scale of them. It is pretty big. It's going to be a very, very big model. 136 centimetres, I think it is, long, which is even bigger than the old Bismarck there. But yeah, I'll hopefully be back with stage 2 very shortly. So thank you all for watching. Please give me a follow if you don't already subscribe to the channel. I may do other models as they come along. We shall see. But at the moment, join me for the rest of Titanic. Any feedback, comments, concerns, or even criticisms, feel free to drop them in the comments, and I'll hopefully see you for the next one. But until then, thank you very much.